I clearly remember a phase in my career while working for a large telecom company. Our sales numbers were under pressure, and the reason was not difficult to understand. Customers were complaining about the network quality, service issues were increasing, installation times were getting stretched. The market was giving us very clear feedback. Yet every review meeting seemed to follow the same pattern. The discussion rarely started with the network performance. It rarely started with the customer complaints or the service delivery challenges. Instead, it always started with sales activity. How many calls were made? How many customer meetings happened? How many proposals were submitted? How many opportunities were added to the pipeline? The implicit message was simple. If sales numbers are falling, the sales team must increase effort. At that stage of my career, something about this always felt incomplete because customers were not rejecting us due to the lack of sales effort. They were reacting to the experiences they were having with the product and the service offered. But discussing network quality was difficult. Fixing service challenges was difficult. Addressing the structural issues required coordination across multiple teams and the HO. Increasing sales activity was much easier, and that's when I learned an important management lesson. Organizations often focus on the variables they can easily measure and control, not necessarily on the variables causing the problem. A sales manager can immediately demand more calls. A leadership team can immediately ask for more reviews. A dashboard can immediately track more activity. But none of that guarantees that the root cause has been understood. In fact, sometimes activity becomes a substitute for the diagnosis. The organization feels productive because everyone is working harder. Yet the actual problem remains untouched. I have seen this pattern repeat itself across industries. Sales declines, pressure increases, reviews become more frequent, activity targets rise, and the conversation moves further away from the customer. In this situation, the best leaders do something different. When numbers fall, they resist the temptation to immediately prescribe more effort. Instead, they become curious. What's changed? What is the customer telling us? What assumptions are no longer true? What friction has entered the buying process? Because until those questions are answered, increasing activity often means doing more of what customers have already decided is not enough. Activity can create motion, only understanding creates progress. So, the deeper management view principle is organizations often focus on the variables they can control rather than the variables causing the problem. This is broader than the sales. It applies to B2B growth, product management, customer success, operations, and even leadership itself. It feels like an executive realization rather than a sales lesson.